she's staying on Wilshire Boulevard. Old dreams dying hard. He wants you to return his love. Breathing in the dark, weightless, working hard. He wants you to return his love. Now he's bleeding, diamonds on you, but that ain't enough to turn the page.
Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name's Katie, and today I'm going to be sharing with you some DIYs that are perfect for decorating your kitchen. So these DIYs are made up mostly of Dollar Tree items. I love the challenge of finding items in Dollar Tree that can be turned into really cute decor pieces, and I love changing up my decor season to season and year to year, so I feel like this is a nice, inexpensive, and fun way to go about that. I'm a little bit late to the summer decorating game. For some reason, I'm really early with fall and winter, and then I kind of like fall off the bandwagon a little bit, but lately I've been feeling a spark to redecorate my kitchen, and I wanted some inexpensive, super cute farmhouse style pieces to kind of tie everything all together. If you have any questions about any of the supplies used for these DIYs, I will be listing them in the description box down below, so check that out. Also, in my description box down below, I will have the link to my Etsy shop. My husband and I recently opened up the shop, and I'm so excited about it. It's called Our Blue Farmhouse, and we are currently selling farmhouse style signs, but if you have any type of suggestions of other type of decor items you would like to see, let me know that as well. And I think that's all. So thank you again so much for watching, and let's go ahead and get into this video. For this first DIY, I'm going to be making a lemonade pitcher. So I actually got my pitcher from Goodwill. The first Saturday of every month, everything on Goodwill is 50% off. So this actually ended up being cheaper than Dollar Tree for me, and I wanted glass. However, you can make this project with a Dollar Tree pitcher as well. It just will be plastic instead of glass. I haven't seen a larger sized glass pitcher at Dollar Tree before. So I went ahead and just used this white acrylic paint. I got this from Walmart, and I applied this using a sponge, and it took a couple of coats to cover everything. I do feel like chalk paint would have went on a lot better, but I didn't want the texture of chalk paint, but it does cover, it covers better than what this acrylic paint did for sure. There are several different methods for sealing acrylic paint onto glass. If you wanted to, you could either sand this down beforehand and then paint it, or after the paint had dried, you could use a spray paint type of acrylic sealant, or I've even heard people say that they place acrylic painted items into the oven at certain temperatures and let the glass items sit in the oven while the oven warms up, and that helps to seal the acrylic paint on. I've never personally tried that method, but just know that acrylic paint on its own will not stay on a glass piece. While that paint was drying, I went over some lettering that I had printed off from the computer with a number 2 pencil on the back, and I'm going to be using this to transfer lettering onto the pitcher. So this will transfer just pencil onto the pitcher, and then I'm going to be tracing over this with a paint pen. This method is really easy though, and I wanted to give these DIYs a Rae Dunn type of feel. I colored over this and made sure that anywhere that there was a letter, I had pencil on the back, and I colored really hard, pushed really hard with the pencil, and then I taped this piece of paper to the back of the pitcher, and then I traced the lettering on the front side with a pencil as well. After that, I peeked underneath to make sure that there were no areas where I couldn't see the letter tracing. After you've traced over this completely, all of the letters, then just remove the tape and the piece of paper, and it will leave a nice area for you to trace. So then you can go back in with your oil-based paint pen or Sharpie, whatever you plan to use, and trace all of these letters. And after that is done, then let that dry. And once it's dry, then you can use an eraser to get rid of any extra pencil marks. This was the completed look after it had dried. I just threw some greenery in the top, and I think it looks really, really cute. I also printed off the word fresh, and I followed the same type of process that I'd used with the lemonade wording, and I did not paint this little container. This glass piece, I actually just picked this up from Goodwill and it was already white, which is what I wanted. To trace these letters, I used an oil-based paint pen, and the cool thing about that is after the paint pen has dried, you can actually put this into a cold oven and let the oven heat up to 350 degrees and then bake that for 20 minutes. And that will set the paint on this, so you could actually use this dish and put it in your dishwasher and just kind of use it for food items if you wanted to. So that's pretty cool, and I would recommend, if you're going to do this, to use a really thin oil-based paint pen. The one that I had on hand was thicker. I didn't buy it for this project, I just used what I had, and it made it really hard tracing over these letters because it was bigger than what it needed to be, so just find a fine-tipped one and you should be good to go. Here is the completed look. I decorated this with some faux lemons, but you could also add flowers or candies, whatever you prefer. I also picked up a white mug, just plain white, nothing on the outside, and I put some tape around the top of the mug and then painted the interior of the mug with a yellow. I'd seen several really cute Rae Dunn pieces that have different colors in the interior, and for summer it seems like there's quite a lot of yellow going on, kind of for the lemon theme. On the outside of the mug, I used the same process that I had done with the other two pieces to transfer lettering on there in the word summer. For this next DIY, I'm going to be making a tiered tray. So I have a 10-inch by 10-inch round cake pan or baking pan, and then I also picked up a doggy bowl. Once again, I got these at Goodwill because it was actually cheaper than going to Dollar Tree since it was 50% off Saturday. However, they have both of these items at the Dollar Tree. And after this was done, then my husband spray painted these for me, and he used a white chalk paint. Next, I used the plunger from the Dollar Tree to create the middle part of the tiered tray, and my husband used a saw to cut this down to 6.5 inches. After that, he stained it using dark walnut, and I thought that this turned out really, really neat. It looked rustic, and I think that it will be a nice contrast with the white of the tiered tray. Next, my husband measured to the middle of the doggy bowl and also the middle of the cake pan and marked a spot where the middle was, and then used a drill to create a hole right in the middle. He also created a hole in the cake pan as well. After this, he drilled 2 pilot holes in the top and the bottom of the rod from the plunger at Dollar Tree, and then used 2.5-inch screws to screw these together until it was snug. For this next DIY, you'll need a picture frame from the Dollar Tree, and I removed all of the backing from this, and once it was just the black frame itself, then I mixed a little bit of the yellow paint that I had used previously in the video with this Waverly chalk paint and ivory. It looks like a hot mess, I know. And I felt like this just gives a little bit more texture. I love mixing chalk paint with other colors just to kind of lighten them up a bit, and it also sticks better to the frame. After I had fully painted this with the yellow mixed with the chalk paint, I decided that it wasn't really my thing, and I didn't think it would, I don't know, I just didn't feel like it would complement the other DIYs as well as what I was hoping. So I decided to go over this with this brown color, and this was another 50-cent paint from Walmart. I love these, and this went on so much better. I think that the chalk paint yellow combo worked a bit as a primer, and I really love the way that this brown looks, and it just looks a lot more neutral, and I feel like it fits with the other DIYs a lot better. I wanted this picture frame to be freestanding, so I also used a 4x6 picture frame from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to be using the back part of this to stand the sign up. So I removed all of the extra pieces, and then I just hot glued this onto the cardboard that fit into the bigger sized picture frame, if this makes sense. So the bigger size picture frame did not come with a standing back, and this just fixed the problem. If you don't like hot glue, you could also use E6000 or whatever you think works best for you. Next, I spray painted the glass from the larger picture frame with this Rust-Oleum chalk paint, and I would not recommend this. It's really, really sticky. My husband and I have both used it and we don't love it, but I was just trying to kind of get rid of it because it is a sticky mess. After that had dried, I printed off some lettering from the computer that said fresh lemons, and then I used the same process that I showed you guys earlier before with the pencil and then applying the taped pieces of paper with the pencil to them to this glass, and I traced over these lettering, and after I removed the paper it gave me a nice tracing point, and I just traced this with Sharpie. After that, I hand drew a lemon, and I'm not the best artist, you guys, but I wanted a little lemon on my sign, so I hand drew this, and then I did the same tracing tactic that I had used before. Every time I try to just free draw something onto a finished project, I never end up liking it. And after I had traced this, I went over the outside with Sharpie as well, and then I painted the inside of the lemon with this maize colored chalk paint, and I got this from Walmart, and then I wrote 25 cents beside this in Sharpie. And I think the finished look was so cute. I think that it really just completed the display and went with the other DIYs so well. I forgot to mention that I did go over the leaf of the lemon using a green paint pen. I picked up some paper straws from Dollar General. Paper straws are better for the turtles. I really wanted yellow, but I couldn't find any, and I thought these green would look pretty cute too. So I measured these down roughly where I wanted them and then cut them just a bit to shorten their length, and then I put these inside one of the mugs, and I love how this turned out. I think that it was really cute and decorative. Let me know your thoughts. To get the wording on this mug, I used the process that I had used previously. This last DIY is a garland, and I'm going to be calling this a bonus DIY because, to be honest with you guys, I'm not sure that I did the best job with this. It was my first time ever attempting this DIY, and you'll see what I mean as I get going. It was a little bit hard to do, but since I am showing it in my display and all of the items came from Dollar Tree, I decided to include it in this video in case it's helpful to someone else because I think it still turned out really neat. It was kind of difficult to do. So I purchased 3 bags of these wooden beads from Dollar Tree, and I dumped them all out, and then I went through and got the larger beads and the medium-sized beads, and I put those together, and then I separated those from the really little tiny beads. I saved the tiny beads for a different project. I just used the biggest beads that were in the bags. After that was done, then I used some skewers to thread the beads, and then I used this little, it's like a white basin, and I also got this from Dollar Tree, and I placed the beads on the skewers inside the basin and then used spray paint to paint them, and after they had dried, then I rotated that, and I went over this a couple times to fully coat all of the beads with the spray paint. Like I mentioned before, this Rust-Oleum spray paint is not my favorite. It's just a little bit sticky and it takes forever to dry. I would not recommend this type. I would recommend using chalk paint on these wooden beads. I think that that is a really nice look. However, this Rust-Oleum is not so good. So after that had finally dried, I went in with some Waverly chalk paint and ivory, and also this light mocha brown color of acrylic paint mixed together, and I dabbed this on anywhere that I could still see color, and also just kind of randomly over the beads to give them more of a distressed type of look. So the next part is the part that I thought was a little bit challenging just because I've never attempted anything like this before, and that was making the tassels. So I did use some jute rope, which they do sell at Dollar Tree, and then I wrapped the rope several times around my hand until it was roughly the thickness that I wanted my tassels to be, and after that I snipped the jute rope and then just set that bundle aside. Next, I secured this bundle with another piece of jute rope, which is about 6 inches long, and I tied this into a double knot. After that, I cut off the extra bit of jute rope from tying the knot, and I also cut through the tassels, and then I trimmed them both so that they were roughly the same length. So what I did was basically just tie some extra jute rope around the top of these and left a little loop at the top where I could string some more jute rope through that and then tie the tassel on. This is not the correct technique. So I am going to refer you back to this blog post that I read. I must have done something wrong. This is why I'm saying this is a bonus DIY. And I thought that the beads turned out really well. I still wanted to share this with you. After you've attached the tassel to one end, then you can string the beads onto the jute rope. After you've placed the beads to make the garland the length that you want it, then just tie that off and attach the tassel to this end. All I did to attach this tassel was just tie the tassel on. And there are definitely better techniques. Like I said, I will link the blog post down below if you want to check that out. I still think that this complemented the display really well, and that is going to be the end of today's DIY. So thank you all so much for watching. I truly appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope that you all have an amazing day. Bye, guys.
I'm here, so don't you worry, 'cause you know I'll be there in a hurry. Out of the cold into
We are adding some fall items to our Etsy store. Tammy from the Organized Farmhouse requested this sign yesterday. So if you guys do have any custom orders or anything like that, please do let me know. I would love to work with you on that. We do have a few really cute Rae Dunn style signs that would go perfect with these DIYs, so don't forget to check out our Etsy store listed down. We are selling these mini wooden signs on our Etsy store that would go perfect with these. We are selling these miniature Rae Dunn style signs on our Etsy site. They would go perfect with these DIYs, so don't forget to check that out.